Hello, everybody. I am Dr. J. I am here with Jesse Dillilo with JSJ Investments. He does real estate investments here in California and around the country. We are going to talk about a little bit about what he does, a little bit about what he thinks the market will look like 6 to 12 months from now. And Jesse is also a current patient of mine. So we're going to talk a little bit about chiropractic health and how we have helped him in our office. So let's get right into it. Jesse, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, Dr. J, thanks for having me on. To start out, my family and I have been investing in real estate for the past 13 years. We started it as a side business, doing tax lien properties in Florida. When we were living in Ohio, we moved to California and started to get more into the fix and flips. My parents and I joined Fortune Builders in 2016 to learn a little bit more about that. Once we did that, we decided to start here in California doing wholesaling. Realized that the margins here are quite small. So we decided to go out into other markets.
The markets in California are small? Or the margins?
The margins, yeah.
Really? Like I know
Well,
that
if you
you usually get standard, 10 to 12% when in other markets?
Yeah, we're making a lot more than that.
Okay.
So we're paying our investors anywhere from 10 to 12%, and we're still making 15 on top of that.
Okay, so let's call it 25 to 30% return
Yeah,
overall.
rather than
Obviously, we're going to get into how you make your money and the investor makes money. But here in California, if you flip the house, the margins isn't 25%.
So if you look at it this way, you buy a house in California, say for $350,000, you
Okay.
put 100,000 into it, and you sell it for 550. So there's $100,000 gross profit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That $100,000, you're going to have all of your holding costs and other expenses in there. So just say after everything, you've made $60,000 on what were we at, 500?
Yeah.
So you made what, 12?
Well, no, 450.
Yeah. So you made a decent profit, $60,000 on 450. We probably should have picked easier numbers to do in our head. But 60.
Here, let's do the math. I have a
Yeah, do
calculator.
the math. You have a calculator on you?
Nope, that's not right. 450,000 divided by 60,000.
60 divided by 450.
My bad. That's why it didn't work. 13.3.
So 13% profit. That's pretty good. Now take that same 450 in Pennsylvania, where we're working in Pittsburgh, and you bought two properties, and you're making the same margin on both. So instead of making 60 on one, you're making 60 on two.
So we're talking 120 divided by 450?
Yeah.
26%. So
yeah, it's just leverage. It's how much do you want. Here you can do.
So it's simply based on the idea that the property is so much cheaper in Pittsburgh.
Yes.
So you can get more bang for your buck or more property.
Exactly.
But you're still getting the same profit. That's interesting. So you're still putting 100 into both.
Mm-hmm.
But you're still,
so you're buying it instead of buying it here for 350. You're buying it there 175 and 175. So you bought two.
Got it.
And you're putting 50 in one and 50 in another.
So it's just because the real estate market is so high here.
Yeah, exactly. It's the cost.
So why specifically Pittsburgh?
We picked it because the tech and medical jobs there. UMPC is the largest employer in Pennsylvania, and they just put $2 billion into 3 new specialty hospitals. So that's going to bring a whole lot of medical jobs. And then the tech companies like Google, Facebook, Uber, Duolingo, they all have headquarters there. There's a big artificial intelligence startup from Carnegie Mellon, which is one of the top universities for that.
One of my best friends went there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He wanted me to come out there, but it just never worked out. He got his master's in marketing.
Awesome. Yeah, honestly, when we went to Pittsburgh 10 years ago, when I was playing hockey there, I would never want to go to Pittsburgh.
Did you play professional hockey?
No, that was just like youth hockey, AAA. So when we went there, it was like one of the worst trips of the year because you just kind of were going to this place that was not desirable.
Very boring.
That's completely changed over the last 5 years.
Got it.
houses in this market that we're buying for, 100,000, selling anywhere from 3 to 6. We're listing our next project for 599. We started with it was 120 to purchase, 250 to renovate. So there's a lot bigger profit margin on projects like that.
So what you do at JSJ is you bring in capital. You have investors invest with you and they get a return. So tell me a little bit about what that process might look like.
So we identify a project with our team on the ground in Pittsburgh. It's either listed on the MLS or an off-market property that we've sent a flyer to, or ringless voicemail, text messaging. We do a whole bunch of marketing. Once we get the property under contract, we do our full inspections. We put the property perspective together, which is current pictures, the scope of work, what the total investment looks like, and then we send that out to our client list. And our clients say yes or no, and whoever gets on board with it starts to fund the project. So, for example, we'll just go with a simple one. Say it's $250,000 all in. An investor would come in and say, hey, I have $250,000 either in cash, their savings account, their 401k, their self-directed IRA, whatever it is, home equity line. That person would send the money directly to our attorney, our closing attorney. They get secured with a first position mortgage. They get a promissory note, and then we list them on the hazard insurance policy as an additional layer of security. Once the project is completely renovated and we sell it, we pay out a balloon payment anywhere from 8 to 12% to that investor on top of their initial.
I mean, obviously, given the current times as well as normal times, counting on so many pieces to go together, you can't give an exact timeline, but in what time frame, generally speaking, do most of your investors see that 8 to 12% return?
It's usually around 6 months. For larger projects like the Carnegie project, that's a little bit bigger. It's at 9 months, and then you had COVID, so that was a whole nother delay on top of that.
Just in my layman's terms, tell me if I'm saying this correctly. You email a list, you have a project. Someone invests $250,000. They get let's call it a 10% to 12% return. What differentiates 8 to or 10 or 12%?
It just depends on the project size.
Got it.
So on the larger project with more margin, we're able to pay more. On a smaller project with less of a margin, we're not going to be able to pay as much.
Got it. So they're guaranteed first. What's the first on the mortgage called?
The first lien position on the mortgage.
Lien position, promissory note, and on the hazard insurance. I didn't know that. That's really cool.
So they're covered from all angles.
Right. And then, so they get paid when the house sells and everything closes.
Correct. Right. They get paid before we do.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. And then so we pay the investors back. And
then because you're doing all the work and you're putting yourself on the line and you're connecting everything, you get your cut as well. Cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Really cool. So how has business been the last few months? And because obviously this is something you're going to do going forward, what are your thoughts on what business will look like 6 to 12 months from now?
Well, we were shut down in Pittsburgh for 45 days. So no construction on any projects.
Wow.
Our listings were there, but they could only do agents can only do the Matterport showings, the virtual walkthroughs. On Friday, that opens up. So we'll be able to do showings on our one that's listed in Pittsburgh, and then we have one in our old market that we used to work in Newcastle that's also listed. Construction started up again, so that's good. Our 3 flips there can start, and we're also working on our commercial project. We're getting into a larger condo conversion project there. So
how many projects do you currently have?
That's 6. That'll be 6 with that one.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we're for the future. It's interesting because there's still properties that are being listed. Another one came on this morning down the street from Carnegie that's listed for $625, similar size, a really good comp for us if it sells. So I didn't see much of a fluctuation in asking prices. Days on market is obviously going to be longer now because of COVID. Yeah. And then with the realtors being able to do showings on Friday, I really don't know what's going to happen. We'll see how many people, how many properties close within the next 30 days, and that'll give us an idea of what's going to happen moving forward.
So I guess all that you can really do is just see what happens. Do you have any plans in place if, the markets go down at all?
Well, that's the nice thing about the margins there is if the market drops, say it drops 15%, I'll
Okay.
still be able to pay our investors back their full return and still probably clear a small profit on each one of the projects.
So I just had this thought as I'm thinking about this. Like, obviously, we want the economy to do well and we don't wish harm to anyone. But in your line of business, if the market went down 25%, would that maybe be a good thing for business? Because people are going
As
to
far as
sell at a lower price.
Yeah, as far as purchasing properties, absolutely. That
Interesting.
opens up a lot of opportunity for us to buy. Um, Anyone who was listing during COVID, unless it's a flipped house, is likely, desperate to get rid of their house and
Right.
willing to accept a lower offer. I
Right.
mean,
But on the after construction's done, then you have to put it on the market, and then if the market is soft, then you
yeah.
definitely then you'll have to
Well, that's why
sell
we
it.
like
I
Pittsburgh
get it.
because it has a strong job. Yeah, I think 87% of Pittsburgh is now white collar,
Wow.
and that 15, 20 years ago was completely opposite.
Sure.
So most of those jobs are still there. All of the banking jobs, the tech jobs, the medical jobs, they're all still rolling, and a lot of them work remotely, at least in the tech and banking industry. And banking's essential, so they were working.
Got it.
Um,
Makes sense.
yeah,
Anything else you wanted to share about what you do with work? I would like you to share your contact information, please.
yeah, definitely. You can find us online at investwithjsj.com. My email is jesse@investwithjsj.com. And you can call my line at 619-724-4446. I'm happy to answer any questions.
And your Instagram handle, please.
Oh, Instagram at investwithjsj, Twitter at investwithjsj, Facebook is at JSJ Sustainable Investments, TikTok, which I just got on, is
I
at
saw that.
investwithjsj.
Yep.
Gosh, we're on like 9 social
Sure.
medias. Let's start with
Well, I
those.
mean, I mainly follow you on your Instagram, and you post awesome content, not just about real estate, but you post all your projects, and that's a great way. I'm sure you've gotten many investors via that.
Yeah, I was surprised,
Yeah,
through Instagram.
for
I
sure.
avoided it for so long.
Awesome. Okay. Anything else you want to share about what you do or what you're looking forward to right now?
We're just getting into larger projects. We're making a transition into multifamily. My mother and I, she's my business partner. We made the decision that we want to do these larger projects instead of so many smaller projects a year. And as far as the single family fix and flip goes, we're only going to go after 3 to 4 larger projects a year rather than trying to close 1 or 2 a month of
Oh
the
wow,
smaller ones. So
cool, awesome.
that's
So
one
so
nice
you
thing that came out of COVID was a restructure of how we were going to do business.
so you might, generally speaking, if you're doing one large project, you might have multiple investors in one project instead of just one investor for a smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can actually use traditional funding as well. So a bank is more willing to lend. For example, yesterday I talked to a lender on the condo conversion project. That's a $4.5 million project. And the bank was more excited to lend on that and more willing to fund up to 100% of that project than they were on, say, a $350,000 project,
Interesting.
which, yeah.
Got it. Makes sense. Awesome. Well, thanks for sharing what you do and getting that word out there. Obviously, I'm a chiropractor. You know that. You've been seeing me for a couple of years now. So you wanted to share a little bit about your story with that.
Absolutely. I've been going to the chiropractor for quite a few years now. It's always solved all of my issues as far as any injuries from hockey. We never went with the surgery route. Never went with here, take all these painkillers and everything will be better. That's just never worked for myself. I had scoliosis, um, since I was a child, so it's been a journey to keep my back straight and keep my body healthy. I continue to use it. My mother does too. She has scoliosis. So I think our whole family really does. Everyone enjoys going to the chiropractor and getting an
I've never
adjustment.
met your mother because she lives in North County, correct?
Yeah, she's in Lake Elsinore.
Yeah.
Well, she moves down to San Diego. You'll have another patient.
Sounds good. Always
Yeah,
looking for more ways to help more people.
definitely,
Awesome.
definitely. But chiropractic has always helped me. Specifically, I had a really bad shoulder and back injury when I got run over by a guy who was much larger than me. Um, I wasn't really able to move my arm, and my neck was a little bit sore, and uh, went to the chiropractor for a couple of weeks and was back to normal and didn't have to do the whole, get shoulder surgery and be out for 8 months. I was, out for a couple months, and then
Right.
that really made, and not that I wasn't a believer in it before, but when you can get healed from an injury like that, where they tell you you're going to need surgery and miss a whole season, and then you find an alternative that works a lot better, it really, really gets your trust built up.
You become a believer.
Yeah, not that I wasn't before, because I did go to the chiropractor before for regular adjustments, but
Yeah.
that really helped. And then obviously coming to you with all of my injuries now from men's league, where still get ran into and
Yeah. I
messed
presume
up.
that that's been not going for the last few months though, correct?
No, that was my weekly exercise, besides small home workouts. But
Yeah.
COVID's been good for being at home and using the home gym and doing a bunch of exercises that way. I've actually lost almost 20 pounds since it
Wow.
started.
Yeah, I haven't seen you since this all started, so I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it's much easier to tie my shoes.
good. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, thank you for sharing that and telling us about what you do. Always looking to reach more people and make people money and get them healthier.
Absolutely. I'm
Awesome.
happy that you had me on here. I really think, just to leave you a positive review here, you've helped both myself and Anya, my girlfriend, um, for when she had that facial paralysis, and chiropractic care is really what healed her, outside of all of their prescription drugs that they tried to give her. So
Yes.
holistic healing is definitely the way to go.
Well, thank
That's
you
what
for
our
saying
bodies
that.
want.
It's been my
Yeah,
pleasure. That's what my purpose is to teach people how to achieve natural health through chiropractic and natural other means.
no, we
Um,
appreciate it.
I had this thought about a week ago that every not everyone, a lot of people are just at home right now, and a lot of people are on their phones a lot more. So I've done a handful of Zoom meetings for business or just meeting up with friends. So I decided, you know what, I know quite a few people that do some really good things in San Diego that people might not know about. So why not hop on some Zoom calls, record it, and share what people do? I just figured it was a great way to connect, because I'm all about connecting with people, and I've kind of missed it. So
Yeah,
you
it's nice
are,
to see
yeah,
face to face.
I did a Zoom call yesterday with sorry, I've done multiple Zoom calls yesterday. It was with Ashley, with personal injury attorney, and I have a few more today that I'm going to do, and I'm scheduling more. So anyone on here who's watching, want to hop on a Zoom call and tell me a little bit about their business, we can discuss health, we can discuss life. I wish we could discuss sports, but that's still not happening yet. But hopefully sooner than later.
Yeah,
Awesome.
definitely.
Anything else you wanted to share today, Jesse?
No, I think that was all.
Awesome.
Thanks for
Well,
having me on, Dr. J. I appreciate it.
thanks for being on. Thanks for sharing what you do, and keep posting all those TikToks and stories and all that stuff, all the information. Let's make some people some money.
Absolutely.
You have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of your day, Jesse. Talk to you later.
Yeah, you too. Enjoy. Bye-bye.